It says it's working. Have I got movement? Yeah, go for it, Emma.
Hi everyone, this is Emma Darcy, Emma D Marketing, and I am delighted to be here in Bursacane in Tipperary, which is in the Midlands in Ireland for our international audience. And today we're starting is a little series on behind the scenes of businesses that I'm working with and have been working with over the last couple of months. And really what we're trying to do, guys, is just show you behind the scenes of how these businesses operate, give you some insights into what's happening, and also to introduce you to some fabulous business owners and letting you know how you can do the same yourself. So today I'd love to introduce you to Aileen Hogan. Aileen is a Dublin lady now she's found love, it should be said, in Tipperary and is now living in Tipperary. And if Aileen could come over here, and Aileen is the owner of Shabby.ie. Hi Aileen.
Hello. Hi everyone.
So basically today we're in Aileen's shop, as I said, in Bursacane in Tipperary, and we are here and in Shabby. And I suppose, Aileen, can you tell us a bit maybe about yourself and how you landed in Tipperary, so to speak?
Oh, well, love, I suppose. My mother is from around here, and I used to always spend my summers in the country with all my cousins, my aunts and uncles. And years later, after spending nearly 20 years in the UK flying for British Airways, I flew home one weekend to take my parents for dinner. Mm-hmm. And I found a derelict property on some land, and I was into horses, and I bought it. Never actually had any intention of moving back here. I don't know why I bought it. It was a bargain, I suppose, as it was 25 years ago. But in doing it up, in spending the year doing it up, I fell in love with the place. Okay.
And with your husband too?
And
or did that come afterwards?
That came afterwards. Then I went into a bar in Nina and fell in love again.
Very good. So that brings us obviously to here. But tell us a bit more about, the transition from you obviously got married, you have two lovely children. So how did Shabby.ie, this beautiful shop that you can all see that we're in here in Tipperary, so how did Shabby come about?
Well, Shabby.ie actually started about 7 years ago from a hobby at home. I had given up flying. I had two small babies. I was a late starter. But I have a very low boredom threshold, clearly. So I started restyling furniture from my own house. And discovered very quickly that I had a talent for it and that I really enjoyed it. It was my newfound passion after flying. And that's how it started, from a hobby.
Okay, so just walk me through it. So in terms of furniture restyling, because this is something that I wouldn't be familiar with, and just for people that are looking in, we'll say you call it, what's the word that you use? Because I always think repurposing or redoing furniture, but I know you have a kind of a specific word that you use.
There is. Like in the States, they call it flipping furniture. Okay. So they flip it from one look to another. Okay. In Europe, we call it upcycling.
Okay, so
or
restyling.
Or even repurposing. Okay. Because if you see, I have furniture outside. I have a bench outside the shop that was made out of pallets. So that is taking a pallet and repurposing it into a new purposeful item. Yes. Useful item.
And it looks fabulous, I have to say. Unfortunately, our Wi-Fi wouldn't hold up, guys, outside, so we couldn't actually show you, but it does look wonderful. And essentially what Aileen has done is restyle some pallets, some ordinary pallets, it would have to be said. They look like wonderful Christmas trees. She's got the Christmas lights on it. She's got a bench outside, which we're supposed to be sitting on right now, but unfortunately Wi-Fi doesn't extend out there. But what I would say to you guys is something that started out with a different lifespan or with a different purpose is now a beautiful blue bench outside of Aileen's shop.
We'll take some pictures maybe and post them in the comments afterwards.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great, Aileen. So just tell me, say, if somebody wants to do something like that, I mean, how could they, how would you suggest they start? Or, if I'm looking to repurpose or restyle or upcycle my furniture, what would you suggest for people?
Well, first of all, let me explain to you why people are doing this. It is a huge phenomenon, not only in Ireland, but actually across the world. Okay. And I think in Ireland it became very big during the recession years. Because the throwaway society changed, and people were looking at what they had in a different light. And the idea of upcycling is to take something that you own and rather than replace, you restyle. Because you can restyle it for a fraction of the cost that it would cost to buy it new. But more importantly, some of the new furniture you buy isn't actually the quality that you already possess. You just have to see it differently.
Okay.
And also I find there's a certain age group, probably around my own age, where we lose our parents and we inherit beautiful pieces of furniture that we are sentimentally attached to, but they don't suit our homes.
Yeah.
And rather than hide them away in the garage or in a spare room, you would like them to be pride of place. So I can help teach you how to restyle that it gives it a whole new life again, a whole new loving home again.
Fantastic. And I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'm sure lots of people looking in, we all have furniture that somebody has given us, or we're not quite sure that it fits in with our current theme in terms of styling. And this is a wonderful idea where, as you say, very inexpensively we can change the styling of our furniture if we have the ability to do so. And this is where I come back to Aileen, like in terms of I'm just blown away by her creativity, her innovation. And I suppose one of the things, I know you run workshops, live workshops here in Ireland in terms of showing people how to do this, but this year you've also launched something online, which is very exciting. So for those of you that don't know, Aileen has brought her teaching that's live, meeting people, to online. So maybe you could just talk to us a little bit around that.
The reason I did that is because before I opened up this shop at all, I had a nice little cottage industry at home. And I had developed a range of furniture mouldings because there was no one in Ireland doing that. And an awful lot of the businesses start like that, don't they? You see a need and there's no one fulfilling it.
Yeah.
So I developed a range of furniture mouldings that I was then selling online.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring in the community together of all these people that I knew were buying this paint. I knew there was an awful lot more people than me doing this, but I didn't know any of them. So I wanted to bring this community together. So I started a Facebook group called Shabby Chic Projects.
Okay, so that's Shabby Chic Projects for anybody that hasn't been on it already.
And this quickly became very, very popular. So I knew there was a following out there. So I started traveling the country, teaching these and giving demonstrations to hundreds of people. It was called Ladies' Day.
Okay.
And I did it in different counties around the country. But when I opened the shop, my wings were clipped a little bit because I had to be here all the time. So my followers were trying to get to me all the time. They wanted more demonstrations as new products would come online, as I would develop new techniques. So I came up with the idea of an online teaching club, and it was the Upcyclers Club that we launched last March, the Upcyclers Painting Academy. And basically I give weekly tutorials and I take people from the very start. It's not a hop in and pick whatever you like, because I want you to learn, even if you think you're experienced, I want to take you from the very beginning all the way through.
So to do it correctly, is that?
Do it correctly.
Yeah. I know if I started, I probably would dive into Module 5 when I should be at Module 1.
Yes, but if you do it slowly and you learn each technique one week after another, you will find your confidence growing as well as your competence. I have had many, in fact I had one here this morning, members who only started the Upcyclers Club Painting Academy as a hobby to do up the furniture in their own home, and they have now started little businesses of their own.
Okay, well
because
that's wonderful.
Like me, they've discovered a passion and a talent.
Sure. So for anybody listening in then, if you're looking, to bring your passion, as Aileen says, into a business, which you can from home, it's something maybe that you could speak to Aileen about maybe later. Now Aileen, I know we're standing here and I'm sure people are gagging to know what's behind us in terms of this shop. I know I'm looking at a few items myself because it's beautifully done. So perhaps we have two wonderful assistants here today. So we have Christina and we've Mary Claire, two more Tipperary people. So maybe you can change, because we have two cameras running here, so you can cross. But basically we're, just so you know guys, we have actually 3 cameras here, so there's a lot of innovation going on here guys in terms of online, offline, using Facebook Live. And I suppose this is one of the things I'd be advocate of in terms of being a marketing strategist, is using online but bringing things offline as well. And I suppose that's why we're here today, is so people can actually see behind the scenes of Aileen's beautiful shop. So maybe ladies, if you don't mind turning your cameras around and we can just look and see, because I know there's some beautiful ornaments here. I know I can probably fill a whole stocking.
This shop is normally, it's an upcycling supply specialist.
Okay.
So the majority of this shop would be upcycling supplies. But come November and December, we Christmify the whole shop, because I get an awful lot of people popping in for gifts and that for Christmas. So because of our lack of space, it's a very small shop, we hang an awful lot from the ceiling, as you can see, and it adds sparkle and bells and sound.
And the smell, I know you're online and you can't smell it, but there is an absolutely gorgeous smell in here, which is fabulous. And I'll get out of the way here. So maybe the ladies could just show you some of the items maybe around here. You can see it's absolutely stunning. There's an array of products that you can feast your eyes on. And I know Aileen has Shabby.ie, which is an online shop if you'd like to buy as well. So I know my sister and a lot of people around here would come, and they'd come to Aileen for her expertise, and equally they would come to have a look and see can they add to their styling in their homes.
This is our decoupage section. Decoupage is one of the techniques that we use in upcycling, but it's also very much a standalone craft. And this, would you believe, is napkin decoupage. And I'm just going to show you a little example here. So people come in and they buy a little wooden, I call these blank, it's a tray. And they paint it and add a paper napkin and they create something like this.
Wow.
Isn't that absolutely beautiful?
Now, I can't imagine myself doing that.
That's
so
from that.
Can you tell me, Aileen, if I was to do your online course or your live course, is this something that you teach? I mean, yes. Could I even learn this, basically?
Honestly, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that say to me, I'm not creative, I can't do this. Yes, you can. It is so easy. This is actually a very popular craft with children.
Okay.
But it's become huge with adults because it's very therapeutic.
Okay.
That and painting are very therapeutic, and we live very fast, very stressful lives.
True.
And mums nowadays are not only juggling all they used to, they're juggling now careers as well as the home life. And they find their downtime is just a little bit of creativity. Also the satisfaction of you have created something like this.
Yeah.
So when they come into me, the shop, this area behind you here is normally my craft table.
Okay.
So I do classes here, and they come in and I give them a tray. I tell them to paint it up, and I do one at the same time, so they just copy everything that I do.
Wow.
And then I show them how to take the back layers off the napkin.
So if you see, guys, there, I don't know if you can see, but this is obviously before and after. So in terms of what people can do. So if it's something, anybody that's interested in this decoupage or upcycling, restyling, there's obviously a significant amount of people internationally and obviously in Ireland as well that are hugely interested. And I know before I met Aileen, this isn't an area that I was specifically familiar with.
No.
However, my eyes have been opened, I have to say. And I suppose we're going to come now in a few minutes to your mouldings. But perhaps before we do, we might just have a little chat around, we've obviously worked together for a few months in terms of marketing strategy. And I know we're looking at behind the scenes in terms of your beautiful, beautiful shop. But could you give people an insight into, I suppose, the business side of things?
Yes. First of all, how about we have a seat and a cuppa?
Oh, sounds good to me.
Okay, so I have them ready here.
Good stuff.
So I'm going to give you a non-upcycled, just a couple of little chairs, and we will sit there.
Mind the cable.
Sorry.
We're going to knock each other out.
And we're going to have tea.
So this is a chat, everyone. So you can see here, again, we're sitting in the shop, and we just want to give people an insight into what a real business looks like, and what it's like to actually be in business. And I suppose a lot of people I know I meet, and maybe they're not in business, they're thinking of being in business, or perhaps they've come to a crossroads in their business, which is oftentimes what people, a situation people find themselves in. They're not sure what to do. And I suppose, can you give them a bit of background into how you transitioned into finding somebody like me, how it has helped or hasn't helped, or whatever the case may be, maybe just to give people an insight.
Well, that's exactly where I was 12 months ago. I felt I had taken the business as far as I could take it. I am an expert in my field, yes, which is upcycling, but as a business owner, you have to acknowledge the skill gaps. you have to acknowledge that you are not an expert in everything your business is going to need to expand and grow. And I did not know anything about marketing.
Lift up the mic. Hear the audio hidden behind your coat.
I did not know anything about marketing, and although I tried for a few weeks myself, I thought I'm wasting my time here, because sales will decrease if I spend my time doing something that I'm actually no good at. So I found Emma.ie Marketing, who knew nothing about my business, and that was refreshing for me, because I wanted you to come in with a different viewpoint. I wanted you to look at it as a business as a whole, rather, because I'm already looking at it in my own little world of upcycling.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, and it's something that I meet on a day-to-day basis, in that I get phone calls, from different business owners in completely different industries. And one of the things is, people say, do you understand my business? And as Aileen has said, I don't necessarily have to, and actually it's actually an advantage not to, because I then have the questions which an ordinary customer has. So I'm coming at it from the perspective of the customer. Why don't you try this? Have you tried this? And as Aileen said, I don't know anything about decoupage or upcycling or repurposing, but however, the business side of it is something that I would look at. So maybe you could just tell people, about that decision. Was it a hard decision? Because you have to make that investment as well, that leap of faith.
It was a hard decision, because I am a small business owner, not a multinational, and every penny counts. I was only open 2 years. You don't make any money in the first few years, so to invest heavily in the decision, will this pay off? Will I actually get results from this? Was a leap of faith. But I had spoken to other business owners, I had done some research, and I decided I need to do this. So I spoke to you, and you gained my confidence, and I thought, right, I'm going to pay whatever I need to, and I'll give you a chance.
Yes.
Now, if it didn't work, I would have stopped it straight away. But I was very lucky, and I'm very, very happy, because the strategies that Emma put in place for my business turned the business around so quickly that I recouped her cost immediately, practically, and 3 or 4 times more very soon afterwards.
Yeah. Wow. And I know people struggle with this, and I do myself. When you're making any sort of investment in your business, it is a hard decision to make. None of us are multinationals, as Aileen has pointed out. So it is important to make that decision, but it's about growth strategy. So it's about taking that leap of faith. But the other aspect as well, I think that Aileen, hasn't mentioned, because she has a lot of work to do. So even though I come in, and poor Aileen, I think it's kind of like having a child. Sometimes you don't realise all the work that's involved. So it's not a case of there's a silver bullet. It is a case of sitting down, working with Aileen, working out a strategy, but then there's the work. So oftentimes I would leave here, and I'm sure you're possibly tearing your hair out, because it's like, oh my God, I've got to do this and this. So there's a huge focus, but also a lot of work, so a lot of late nights.
But the one thing you did, I'll give you credit, the one thing you did point out was, I never thought that I was going to just say to you, can you take my business now and make it much bigger, expand it, bring me to a different audience. I never thought you were going to do it on your own. I did know I was going to have to put a bit of work in, but you did make it very clear from the beginning that it's only going to be difficult initially because it's unknown to me. Yes. I had to learn things that I had never learned before. I had to understand why I was doing what I was doing, which is very important. And yes, every 2 weeks you would give me a lot of homework, and I had to do it myself, basically. But the next time I do it, it'll be easier. The next time I do it, it'll be easier. And you opened my eyes to a completely different way of running and seeing a business. marketing and networking were just not on my radar.
So I think there's a couple of important points there just for people listening in, because I know it's hard to take in unless you're doing it sometimes, I think, Aileen, isn't it? You know, so I can say this, Aileen can say it, but sometimes you need to do it before you realise the ramifications. So essentially, you know, we would sit down, Aileen would have, you know, her homework or whatever she would have to work on, and like there's lots of training, but equally there's a lot of stuff you have to do on your own. In other words, it's the sort of thing, if you have to dig a ditch, you have to pick up the shovel and actually do it.
Yes.
And there is an element of that. Now I know some people, there is this idea, you know, around now, you know, there's a silver bullet and the shovel doesn't have to be picked up at all, or maybe it's a gold one, but that's often not the case either. So I do have to give Aileen kudos in terms of the hard work she's put in, and obviously, you know, there's a huge turnaround then in terms of success for your business. And one of the things I'd like to highlight, if people can see behind us, are mouldings. And this is something I wasn't familiar with, I can tell you, before I started working with Aileen. But these are actually manufactured by Aileen, and perhaps, Aileen, you'd be better placed to speak about them. But just to look at the innovation in Ireland at the moment, across the world, in terms of, you know, going from working with British Airways to opening your shop to being innovative in terms of your repurposing, upcycling, but also to create a product that's new to the marketplace. Perhaps you could just talk to people a little bit about, you know, how you came about inventing these, if you like.
Well, I didn't reinvent the wheel. What happened was our furniture these days tends to be a lot plainer than the furniture in the Georgian and Victorian times, when there was an awful lot of carvings and onlays. So to add character and charm, I used to import a version of these from other countries. But it wasn't viable because it added too much expense onto the piece when I was going to resell it. So I decided that I would investigate if it was possible to make them for myself. Now, everything I have done, I never thought until now about being big. I only ever did it for myself initially. I started painting furniture for myself. I made mouldings for myself. But I've never been one to half do a job. So I didn't make them out of plaster Paris or any cheap thing that would break. I researched about professional products to make them. But of course, it was so expensive that I couldn't just make them for me. So I developed a range, but then I knew that if I wanted them, everyone else who was upcycling wanted them.
Of course. So you had a ready market, in other words.
Yes.
You know, and just to remind people, you know, Aileen it's 2 groups, isn't it, online?
Yes.
So, and they have, what is it, 15,001?
They're, well, when I started Shabby Chic Projects, that became very, very popular very quickly. But there were so many people then who were buying and selling, and they couldn't source the furniture or source the customers for it, that I quickly started Shabby Chic Buy and Sell Ireland. Now, between the two of them and my own personal page, Shabby.ie, there's over 40,000 members. So it is a very popular trend. And I don't think it's ever going to go away, because hand-painted furniture and shabby chic has been around for years.
You've, as you say, you haven't reinvented the wheel. However, you've brought the wheel back around. Do you know? And I think it's lovely. And I mean, you know, I'm not terribly creative. I know you say people are, but I know I'm not.
I want to show you something.
So,
upcycling is not just about furniture. These here are books that I have restyled, and I teach this in the Upcyclers Club. So here is a very old...
See your feedback, Emma?
Have we any questions or anything?
Oh yes, actually,
Never thought of that. Hi, hello, everybody.
We get totally
lots of we're so busy chatting here.
Yeah, sure.
Jobber says this covers the question I was going to ask Emma. There's no silver bullet. Marketing and social media. Great shop.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank
Laura
you.
Byrne Daly says, so much great information.
Oh, thank you, Laura.
With loads of thumbs up and loads of hearts.
Great.
Thank you.
We nearly forgot about the people online there.
Too busy enjoying
Yes, it's like Big Brother. You know how they say you forget about the cameras?
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
I was going to show you this. This is a little book. And I found it in my cupboard, and I decoupaged it with a napkin. I added a rubber moulding to the side, and it's created something that I would happily put on a coffee table. Books that were hidden away otherwise. And the same with these here, and I even did a 3D stencil on this one. Wow. You can see that.
Wow.
So it's not just, as I say, it's not just for Christmas. It's not just for furniture. Yes. You can upcycle, and you saw the High Nelly outside.
There's a bike, for those that don't understand what a High Nelly is. It's an older type of bike. Back way before we were born, of course.
Yes.
That Aileen has restyled beautifully outside. Unfortunately, as we said, the Wi-Fi isn't quite working with us in terms of that. So perhaps as well, Aileen, I know we're talking about business, and just to reiterate for some people, Aileen, there's 3 probably main aspects of your business. Yes. So you have the shop, obviously, you have your now online arm of it. So if people are looking at this, there's streams of income. So in other words, your shop is providing income, your online training is providing income, your training, like your general training, but also this year, just so people know that she expanded again. She hadn't done enough, all that work that that I gave her and all the rest of it, and she still rings me and says, "I've such exciting news! An international player have rang me," and I'm like, "What?" So basically, General Finishes, which is an international paint. I think if you guys can look in with the cameras, it's a brand even. So General Finishes is an international brand, and they first of all contacted Aileen to be a judge on an international competition, and subsequent to that, she was then asked to be one of the main stockists for this particular brand, or distributor even. Sorry, I have the wrong words. In Ireland, and I should know better.
See, she knows nothing about it.
Show my ignorance here. So basically, I suppose maybe just talk people through that as well. And I suppose just to point out as well, this shows that when you are putting in the work, when people are seeing you doing this, when they see you online, when they see you do your marketing, opportunities come around.
Yes.
So tell us more about General Finishes.
Okay, so let's go through that. These opportunities. Most businesses, if you have something that people will buy or are interested in, things will organically happen for you if you leave the door open. So I had my cottage industry at home. I never went looking for a shop. I was handed this shop. By somebody bought it, they had a retail unit, and they said, get out of the house and get into a shop. So I continued with the workshops. I did my online workshops, and my following thankfully have followed me to the online version, because that was very new to people in Ireland. There's nobody else doing that in this country. But yes, I was a stockist of this brand of paint as soon as I opened the shop. And General Finishes are a cycling competition every year. And this is a big deal. And this year they started a European category. Okay. And would you believe the top 3 winners were not only Irish, but they were customers of Shabby.ie.
Maybe you could call out their names just so that they get the
high
five.
Now. I think of that in a minute.
This is where the baby brain kicks in, guys.
What's my excuse? Alzheimer's. So then about 3 or 4 months ago, I contacted you again, and I said to you, what do you think about me becoming a distributor for this brand of paint? Because this now means I'm going into the wholesale side. This means I am stocking my peers, other shop owners. And that's completely different to what I've done. And you told me, of course, do it. Take these opportunities when they come. Figure it out. Yes. Like in terms of things, and this is an important point, I think, is that we don't always have the answers as business owners. We mightn't 100% know. And I think, if I was to start in this business tomorrow, I don't think I will be, but if I was, I know Aileen is the person to go to. Yes. So like Aileen was saying earlier, if you are short on any skill set, the thing is to go to the person that does understand how to do it. So whether you need a marketer like me, or we have 2 fabulous videographers here patiently listening to us, Marie-Claire and Christina, so thanks to both of them. So go to people that understand how to operate different aspects, and I think that's such a critical point. And just as well, Aileen was bringing up earlier, because I know you have to clean the windows here, you have to, there's a lot of background work that people don't see when Christina isn't in to hoover and to do all the other bits. Yes, of course, you are the business owner. You have to do everything.
And that's important. But also we'll say when you do start to grow your business, it is important that sometimes you have to learn to delegate.
Yes.
So, and that's where I think Aileen has, helped to grow her business this year, where she focused then on getting somebody like me to help her with the marketing, but then she gave herself the time to do it.
Yes.
Because one big critical mistake I do see with people is that they want to do this, they're ambitious, but they still are doing the little things they could get other people to do. It's not that you won't do them, but it's more that you're setting aside time for you to work on your business and not in it. And I think there's an important distinction there. And again, it's not that Aileen doesn't want, well, I don't know if any of us really want to clean a window, but it is a case that how best is she placed with her time? So is she better spending an hour promoting her business and letting somebody like Christina, man the till, that's excellent at all the other aspects of the shop, and focus on growing her business. So, and that's a hard one, I would say. Or did you find it hard, I guess?
It is hard because it's a little part of your business that you have to let go of. But I've been very lucky. Like, I have Christina, I have Tommy, I have a lovely team around me who are so welcoming when people come in the shop. You cannot get more lovely than Christina. And people will come in here just to see her as well as me. So once you have the confidence in your team members, you can step back a little bit and, as you say, be more productive.
That's what it's about.
I need to spend my time where it is more productive for my business.
And that's really, really important, guys. And even Marie-Claire, you can't see her now, she might turn around the camera so she can show herself, but we've spent the morning as well, like doing like literally a half day of strategy as well. So this stuff is important. Hi. This stuff is important, for all of us. It's not, I have to do it, everybody has to do it. Like, you have to give yourself that time, don't you? First of all, to sit back and think, okay, well, what direction do I need to take? Second of all, what do I need to do?
Am I
third
capable?
of all, capable. Well, of course you're capable.
Well, but you kept telling me, you can do this. You can't do, I don't know.
But it's important to have somebody in your corner, so to speak, I think, to bounce ideas off. I think sometimes with the best will in the world, sometimes our families, as good as they are, they're not business owners necessarily, so they may not, or they might love us too much. They don't tell us when things are terrible, when they, when they're terrible, or even when they're good, they don't recognise just because they're not familiar with the industry. So, like Aileen is saying, go to people that are experts, be it an accountant or somebody that's a videographer or an upcycler or whatever the case may be.
Someone who has walked that road before you, if you're looking for a mentor. Because I find now I have an awful lot of my clients, I'm mentoring them as they start their small businesses, because I have walked that road. But if you don't have the skill set, surround yourself with people who do.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just wondering, Marie-Claire, Christina, do you have any questions, or are there any questions coming in, or is there anything that you'd like to add, Aileen, like in terms of...
How long are you in business?
I only opened the shop 3 years ago.
Wow.
I'm only in my third year in the shop. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, fantastic.
It has done very...
How long were you working at it at home?
I was another 4 years probably at home before that.
Okay.
So 7 years of expertise.
Probably,
yeah. Don't forget the 4 years at home. Cause
no, they are very, very important years.
They're the grounding.
Yeah. And I was out on the road a lot in those 4 years, so I had built up a community and a following before I ever came into the shop, which was very good. And they thankfully followed me. I have the nicest customers in the world. I really do.
Which is fantastic. And I think there is an important point there that Aileen is talking about, is that she has a community of people that are interested in her Facebook group and in her and as well. So, that does help. So if you're looking to reach a wider audience, I think it is an important distinction to build relationships with people, both online and offline, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. Oh yes, and that's the thing you made me concentrate as well on. I was doing an awful lot of online, and my customers were much further away from where I am locally, and you told me, there's an awful lot more than just Facebook. We have magazines and national publications, and I was going, oh yes. Yes.
All important.
Yes.
So, we've some customers coming in here. We don't want to be taking away from the business of the shop here right now. So I'm just wondering, any more questions, or can anybody think of anything? Is there anything there, Marie-Claire?
Someone said the tea must be great if you forgot about the audience.
I don't know what you put in it.
It's the conversation.
Yeah, of course. It's the company.
Well, for me, I did a decoupage course, and I have to say, it's therapeutic value is more
incredible
than the gift at the end.
Yeah.
But it's the fact you can make a customized gift for a friend for Christmas.
Yeah, which is fabulous.
And I have to say, like, I had a brother who died of cancer, and my daughter was his godchild, and she was very upset, and we did decoupage as a way of talking about her grief.
Yeah.
Right. It was magical moments.
Yeah. I had a man in here the other day, a customer came in and he asked me about the workshops that I do, and he told me the most beautiful story of himself and his sister used to buy each other presents. Now they club together and they buy a weekend or a workshop where they get to spend, now these are not, we're not talking 20-year-olds here, I'm talking a middle age, where they get to spend time, that's not at a wedding, not at a funeral, just the two of them making something and chatting.
Yeah, magic.
So it is absolutely magic, because that's the one thing you cannot buy, is time.
Yes. With friends,
your loved ones.
Loved ones. That you wouldn't do otherwise.
And something different, and something that you made, which I think is important.
Absolutely.
For sure. Okay, guys. Well, I think, if you've any questions, come back to us. If you'd like to contact Aileen, it's www.Shabby.ie. She's based in Berskane and Tipperary. If you're looking for a little bit more on marketing, my name is Emma Darcy, Emma D Marketing. That's emmadmarketing.ie. Thank you all for listening. And later on today, we are actually going to be in JKC's Toymaster, another fantastic business in Nina, just half an hour down the road. If you'd like to tag in there at 7 p.m. GMT time, which is, I think, 2 p.m. EST time for those of you abroad. So thank you all so much for listening, and thank you, Aileen, for having us, and the tea, which is wonderful. Thanks so much, and to Christina and Mary Claire as well. So thanks, bye for now.
Bye.